Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 3 of May 2026. Reliance Industries is shifting Jio Platforms IPO from an offer for sale to a fresh issue due to investor disagreements on pricing. This move prioritizes protecting retail investors by allowing market determination of post-listing prices, with proceeds directly benefiting the company for debt repayment and expansion. OpenAI employees, both current and former, collectively sold $6.6 billion in shares during a secondary transaction in October 2025. This sale valued the artificial intelligence company at an estimated $400 billion, allowing approximately 75 participants to liquidate up to $30 million each in equity. CMS Info Systems has won a significant Rs 400 crore contract with HDFC Bank. The deal spans 5 years and involves managing 6,000 ATMs. CMS Info Systems will offer complete ATM services, including cash management and AI-driven optimization. This partnership follows CMS's previous work with ICICI Bank and State Bank of India. Wingreen's World has acquired Safe Harvest in a share swap deal, marking Wingreen's fifth acquisition. The company also secured over Rs 120 crore in Series D funding. Wingreens is working towards a public listing in 2 years. Recent months have seen significant consolidation in the consumer health and wellness sector. Since the war broke out in the Middle East 10 weeks ago, state-owned oil marketing companies or OMCs have ensured uninterrupted supplies of petrol, diesel and cooking gas LPG at rates that are way below cost, unlike many global energy systems that imposed rationing or passed through steep price increases. About Rs 1,600 to 1,700 crore per day, over Rs 1 lakh crore in 10 weeks. That's the cost that state-owned oil firms incur for insulating Indian consumers from the global energy shock, but ever-widening losses are now raising questions on how long they can continue bearing the cost without financially capitulating. Waaree Energies is planning significant expansion in the US. The company may build a solar cell manufacturing facility there. This follows an increase in module manufacturing capacity. Waaree aims to boost its market share in the growing US solar market. The company is also focusing on an energy transition ecosystem in India. The Reserve Bank of India and the European Central Bank have signed a memorandum of understanding. This agreement aims to boost cooperation in central banking. The MOU updates a previous pact from 2015. It will facilitate information exchange and policy dialogue. Both banks will collaborate on mutual interests. This strengthens their engagement on banking practices and financial sector growth. Reliance Jio may change its IPO plan. Instead of existing investors selling shares, it could be a fresh issue. This means money goes directly into Jio platforms for debt reduction and expansion. This move could restore investor faith in large Indian IPOs. It might set a new standard for future mega listings. The market will watch this development closely. The market share war between billionaire Mukesh Ambani's Campa Cola, Coca-Cola Co. and PepsiCo Inc. is creating an unlikely winner in the world's largest consumer market, refrigerators. Reliance Industries Limited's consumer goods unit and the American cola giants are on an expansion drive, installing commercial refrigerators in mom and pop stores across India. The Executive Centre or TEC has significantly expanded its footprint by leasing 465,000 square feet across Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Chennai, adding over 6,000 workstations. This expansion caters to growing demand from global capability centers and multinational corporations, reflecting a broader trend towards flexible workspace solutions in South India's thriving office market. The Reserve Bank of India or RBI has issued the Foreign Exchange Management Authorized Persons Regulations 2026 or AP Regulations 2026 with the objective of rationalizing the regulatory framework governing authorized persons under the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999 or FEMA. The revised framework seeks to improve the delivery of foreign exchange services while easing compliance requirements applicable to regulated entities. One of the significant changes introduced under the revised framework relates to the discontinuation of the franchisee model for money changing activities. The Central Board of Direct Taxes or CBDT has revamped the Advance Pricing Agreement or APA framework under the new Income Tax Rules 2026. The revised regime introduces new Forms 51, 52, 53 and 54, simplified filing procedures, a standardized filing fee structure, and faster timelines for unilateral APA processing. The changes are expected to reduce procedural hurdles for multinational enterprises and taxpayers engaged in international transactions with associated enterprises while making compliance easier and more transparent. The Reserve Bank of India or RBI has informally conveyed to Tata Trusts that it is unwilling to make an exception for Tata Sons on the question of listing. The broad regulatory view is that exempting Tata Sons from listing requirements could open the door for similar demands from other large entities, complicating the regulatory framework governing upper layer non-banking financial companies or NBFCs. India's life insurers reported their highest monthly growth in new business premium or NBP in more than 2 years in April, driven by robust inflows and sustained momentum following the reduction in goods and services tax or GST on retail life insurance policies. The industry's new business premium or NBP rose 39% year on year to 30,550 crore in April, led by strong growth across both state-owned Life Insurance Corporation of India or LIC and private insurers. The Prime Minister's Office or PMO is coordinating with various ministries and anchoring efforts to identify fresh opportunities to bolster foreign investments and exports besides reducing non-essential imports as India looks to contain the fallout of the West Asia war on its growth, inflation and current account. Officials at both the Finance Ministry and Niti Aayog are identifying economic opportunities presented by the Iran conflict as well as gauging the impact of the surge in global oil prices on the economy under different price bands. Niti Aayog will likely draw up a report on the matter. India and Russia are nearing a critical minerals deal. The agreement will cover exploration, processing and technology for vital resources like lithium and rare earths. This move aims to reduce India's reliance on China. Corporate investments will also be facilitated. Maruti Suzuki is investing Rs 1,372 crore in green logistics infrastructure. The company plans to increase vehicle dispatches by rail to 35% by fiscal year 2030-31. This initiative will reduce carbon footprint and fuel consumption. The car maker has already achieved significant growth in rail-based dispatches over the past decade. Lightspeed Venture Partners, which has backed the likes of Oyo, ShareChat, Udaan, Zepto and PhysicsWallah, is targeting to raise a smaller India-focused fund with a sharper focus on early-stage deep tech and artificial intelligence startups amid struggles in its growth stage portfolio. The fifth India fund is expected to be around $300 to $350 million, making it significantly smaller than its previous corpus of $500 million raised in 2022. Narendra Modi urged citizens to use critical resources like fuel judiciously, restrict overseas travel, and limit gold purchases. This appeal from the PM reflects the reality of many economies navigating the ripple effects of geopolitical volatility and external shocks while trying to cushion the impact. The protracted conflict in West Asia has significantly disrupted energy markets and supply chains, even as rising energy prices are adding pressure to India's import bill. Past cushions for India, like services exports, may come under pressure in the near medium term. Growth in services exports could potentially be impacted with AI's rising adoption. The West Asia crisis also poses a short-term risk to remittance inflows, which stand at about $140 billion. Indian banks foresee robust corporate loan growth this fiscal year. Demand is surging from key sectors including renewable energy, infrastructure, and manufacturing. Major lenders like SBI and Bank of Baroda report strong loan pipelines. This expansion signals a positive outlook for business lending across the country. However, banks face liquidity challenges in sustaining this growth. India's crucial trade route to Russia and Central Asia is at a critical juncture. US sanctions on Iran's Jahabar port create uncertainty for India's role. India is exploring options to maintain its presence. This development impacts the international north-south transport corridor. Analysts believe the corridor can survive, but India's influence may diminish. The Reserve Bank of India has cancelled the registration of 150 non-banking financial companies. The highest number of affected firms are registered in Delhi and West Bengal. These companies can no longer conduct financial business. This action impacts lending, leasing, and investment activities. The RBI has taken this step under the RBI Act 1934. The Reserve Bank of India has eased rules for non-bank entities, facilitating outward remittances. Prior approval from the RBI is no longer required for these tie-ups. Authorized dealer banks will now be solely responsible for compliance and customer verification. Customers will receive clear information on forex rates, costs, and credit times for their transactions. Inox Clean Energy has secured Boviet Solar's US solar manufacturing assets for $750 million. This strategic acquisition includes solar module and cell manufacturing units in North Carolina. The deal provides Inox Clean Energy a significant presence in the growing US market. Netflix reveals massive global investments in films and series. Over the last decade, the company poured more than $135 billion into content. This has boosted the world economy by over $325 billion. It also created more than 425,000 jobs. Netflix is committed to continued investment in creators and production worldwide. Bank of Baroda plans to double its balance sheet over the next 5 years, betting on strong economic growth in India, rising credit demand, and expansion of fee-based income streams. CEO Debadatta Chand said scale and capital strength are essential for Indian banks to compete globally, especially as discussions continue around creating larger state-run lenders. India's major banks are disclosing more climate data but not using it for lending decisions. Physical climate risks like floods and heat are worsening, impacting bank portfolios. Few banks conduct climate stress tests or phase out coal lending. The Reserve Bank of India is providing data but not mandating disclosures. Delayed action risks financial instability and stranded assets for banks. Fuel prices across India have risen by up to Rs 3 per litre. This hike is driven by surging global crude oil prices and tightened energy supplies. State-run fuel retailers had absorbed costs but are now passing them on. The increase reflects higher international crude costs and domestic pressure. India's electric vehicle battery demand will surge tenfold by 2032. This growth presents significant opportunities in component localization and supply chain development. The market is transforming with advancements in batteries, motors, and manufacturing. Electric two-wheelers lead sales, but passenger cars and light commercial fleets will drive future expansion. New battery chemistries and motor technologies are emerging. Blackstone has successfully raised $1.75 billion through its initial public offering for a new trust focused on artificial intelligence infrastructure. This significant funding underscores strong investor interest in data centers driven by the AI boom. The trust plans to acquire established data centers valued between $250 million and $1.5 billion. India has banned sugar exports until September 30th. This move aims to stabilize domestic prices as supply tightens. The ban applies to raw, white, and refined sugar. Exceptions exist for specific quotas and ongoing shipments. This decision reflects efforts to build buffer stocks. Domestic prices have seen an increase. Production forecasts are also impacted by weather patterns. The bullion and jewelry trade, which sustains lakhs of workers, artisans, and small support businesses, is bracing for uncertainty after the steep hike in import duty on gold and silver and PM Modi's recent appeal to defer gold purchases. Traders say any slowdown in demand could hit laborers and skilled workers the hardest in a market already weighed down by weak business conditions. Industry representatives estimate that nearly 35 lakh people could face either direct or indirect consequences if gold demand weakens following the steep increase in import duty on gold and silver from 6% to 15%. The Indian rupee, which has been sliding to new lows in recent sessions, is expected to remain under pressure on Friday, with rising US Treasury yields boosting the dollar and compounding the already significant strain from high crude oil prices. The rupee is expected to open in the 95.80 to 95.90 range, traders say, after settling at 95.7625 per dollar on Thursday. The currency has declined to new lows over 3 straight sessions, losing 1.36% this week, with the downside likely moderated by Reserve Bank of India intervention to manage the pace of the decline, according to bankers. Uber is setting the stage for its first ever data center in India through a strategic alliance with the Adani Group. This development not only accentuates India's pivotal role in the global tech arena, but also highlights the significance of local data processing and artificial intelligence. For Uber, this venture paves the way for advanced scalability and improved product evolution. Tata Sons is under pressure to list on the stock market. This comes from its shareholders and potential Reserve Bank of India rules. A board meeting of key trusts will discuss the implications. The company's future listing status remains a significant point of interest for investors and the public. Starbucks is establishing its first corporate technology office in India, aiming for fiscal year 2027 to bring outsourced roles in-house and reduce costs. This move is part of a broader strategy to cut $2 billion in expenses and decrease reliance on external service providers following recent layoffs and a shift of some tech roles to Nashville. Hindustan Zinc Limited is set to generate 2,000 crore rupees in value. This will be achieved by implementing artificial intelligence solutions across its mining and manufacturing operations. The company is collaborating with deep tech startups to enhance production and optimize costs. This strategic move aims to drive smart manufacturing and solidify its position as a leader in the industry. Tencent is investing significantly in India's creative industries. The company will fund skill development and training programs for animation, visual effects, gaming, and comics. This initiative aims to boost India's orange economy and create jobs. Partnerships will focus on talent development and global collaboration. India plans to train millions in this sector by 2030. The Income Tax Department has officially released the Excel-based utilities for both ITR-1 Sahaj and ITR-4 Sugam for assessment year 2026-27. Taxpayers eligible under these simplified return forms can now begin preparing and filing their income tax returns using the latest utilities released on 15th May 2026. The release of these utilities is significant for salaried individuals, pensioners, freelancers, professionals, small business owners, and presumptive taxpayers who fall under the specified income limits and filing conditions. Berkshire Hathaway Inc. amassed a $2.6 billion stake in Delta Airlines Inc., reigniting the conglomerate's complicated relationship with the airline industry. Airlines are grappling with higher fuel costs after the US-Iran war effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz, sparking concerns over energy supply. Earlier this month, Spirit Airlines Inc. ended operations after failing to secure emergency funding. Berkshire also revealed it has amassed a stake in retailer Macy's Inc. A stronger than expected sales outlook had boosted Macy's stock earlier this year. This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.